Okay, we're back. In the last video, I realized I forgot to show you probably the most important thing you will ever learn from me. And it's a concept I like to call celebrate by saving. And so whenever you make anything cool, and you're like, hey, that's cool, you should celebrate by saving. So I'm going to save this right now so I don't lose it. What's this one? And we're going to call it demo. And I always, on my files, have a date and a version number. There we go. Okay, so let's think about how we start to make drawings from this. Before we do that, though, I'm going to get rid of this shape. And I think I'm going to add one more F8 there. Make it so that you can kind of pass around this way. Let's see, let's move. Oh, trouble typing move today. Hit F8 again. And I'm going to wire cut. Shape. There we go. Yeah, undo because I don't like that little nubbin. You hit F10 here, and that turns its points on. Okay, wire cut. That shape, or that curve, that shape, down here. Cool. Now I don't have my nubbin. Turn that off. I'm going to, let's see, move our person, maybe, select the clipping plane, go to perspective, all right, let's move our person. So here I'm just going to snap right to the person, maybe snap there. We'll move our person down here. There we go. Okay. Cool. Let's turn that off. All right. So there's our space. A little space. Now, I'm not sure what happened there. It was when I was be moving edges around. Okay, so the next thing I like to do is it's really important to keep track of your units and to keep track of where things are in space. So one of the things I've done here is I've located that point at 0, 0 in my file, and that's what I call my project 0. But I also like to create a rectangle. If I click here, and if I say R60, 60, the R means it's going to go 60 inches from the place where I clicked, right? So that's now a 5-foot by 5-foot box. And if I say extrude 60, all right, if I click down, it goes, if I move the mouse down, it goes down. If I move the mouse up, it goes up, and I hit the space bar. All right, there we go. So I now have a 60 by 60 by 60 cube, and I'm going to call it ref cube, and put it on its own special layer. And I'm going to put it, let's see, so there's my project 0. Maybe let's just put it right there. All right. And you can see the bottom of the cube is at my my 0 datum. Right, because you can see if I draw a rectangle here, by default, that rectangle will be at z equals 0. And let's do this. Let's let's make the place where a person is standing. Select all this. Make sure that's at 0 in Z as well. All right. Okay. All right, so I got my little space, I got my reference cube. I'm going to hit Control S, celebrate the fact that I think this looks okay by saving. So now, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to think about how when you draw a plan, usually what you do is you cut that plan at, some people say 42 inches, some people say 48 inches. I like to do it at 42 inches above your, whatever you're calling your ground, which in this case we're calling where our person is standing. So I'm going to go back to my clipping planes layer here, and I'm going to type clipping plane, and in my top view, I'm going to draw a new clipping plane, and I'm going to move that clipping plane 42 inches up. I'm going to hit F8, so I'm only moving in Z, 42, all right? And you can see now I'm cutting through my person, I'm cutting through, certain elements of the space, all right? And I'm getting this cut line in purple where my clipping plane is, all right? So I'm going to now use a command called make 2D, which you're going to become very, very familiar with. So I'm going to select everything here that I want to cut. Let's maybe unselect our person, since our person's not really part of the drawing. And I'm going to say make 2D. And I'm going to do it in a top view, and I'm going to maintain the source layers, and I'm going to say OK. And then what you get over here, right, is you get essentially a projection of our top projection of our model as a line drawing. Now, the next thing that would be really useful would be to have just a representation of where of what's cut through. So in order to do that, right, I'm gonna actually you can see I made a mistake, right? And let me show you the mistake I made. I knew that didn't look right. The mistake I made is you can see my clipping plane is not clipping in my top view. Let me change that. Clip in the top view. All right, now you can see, right, that looks correct. So let's try that again. I'm going to select everything here, unselect our person. I'm holding down Control when hold down Shift to reselect that. I'm holding down Control. There we go. I've deselected our person. And I'm going to say make 2D again. All right. And you can see that it looks similar, but a little bit different, right? That part that's hanging over, right, we no longer see it because it's above the cut plane. Oops. Holding down Shift. Let's move that over here. All right. I'm going to get rid of that one. Now, the other thing that would be useful would be to have this this purple line. All right. So I'm going to select my clipping plane, and I'm going to turn it off. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a layer called Section. Make that my current layer. Oops. Make it pink. And I'm going to select I'm going to select everything again here, including and especially, right, my reference box. That's very important. I'm going to hold down Control and deselect the person. And then I'm going to go here into my front view, and I'm going to type section. And I can actually use the clipping plane, which I know is at 0 in Z, to snap and draw a line across. And you can see, if I hit the space bar and move this over, right, you can see it's now giving me on my pink section layer just the part that's cut through, right? And having my little section box there is super helpful because it means I can just kind of snap and everything sort of falls into place. All right. All right, so there I've got, a line for my section. I've got the lines that that speak to right the rest of the space. Now let's do the same thing, but let's do it with a vertical section. Right. So we can come here. Let's see. Now, where do we want to cut the section? Right. That's always the question. Let's see. All right. It might be nice to cut the section. Might be nice to cut the section through there. Might be kind of cool to cut the section this way. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna draw a line where I want to cut the section. Hit F8. About right there. Now, there are lots of ways to do what I'm about to do, but I'm gonna do it in a way that's a little bit cheating, I think. Is I'm gonna take this whole thing and I'm gonna copy it, and then I am going to rotate. Right now, if I snap to that line, and if I hit F8, right, so I now have this version of my model, which is, oriented perfectly to the x-axis. And the reason I want to do this is because, for your section, you really want the picture plane of the section oriented to the plane of the section cut. Right. So I'm going to come here in my front view and go back to my clipping planes layer and create a new clipping plane. Right. And I'm going to move that clipping plane there. And I'm going to turn it on perspective. It's kind of everything's sort of looking the wrong way. So let me rotate it 180 degrees. Oops. What happened? Rotate 180. 180. There we go. Cool. That's more like what I want. Now, actually, I don't know if I love that section. Let's rotate it 90. Oops. Oh, that's a more interesting section. Yeah, let's go with that. All right, that's cool. All right, so that's now in my right view. right? So if I enable that for the right view, right, you can see my purple line here, right? So, okay, I'm just going to do the same thing that I did last time, right? Is I'm going to select all this stuff. I'll deselect that line. I'll deselect my person, right? But this time I'm going into my right view, and I'm going to say make 2D. Oof. It's kind of annoying why it keeps doing that. Oops. Hold down Shift. Right. Move this over. There we go. And I'm going to do the same thing again. I'm gonna select my stuff here. Deselect my clipping planes and whatnot. And I'm going to say section, and I'm going to snap to my clipping plane that I just did. Hit the space bar. All right, and now I get this just the part that's been cut through. Oh, I'm gonna move it onto the section layer. Except now you can see it's still oriented in space. So I am going to rotate it. A nifty trick, if you hit Z, S, it will zoom to what's selected. Where's my... oh, I see what's happening. I don't see anything because my clipping plane is still clipping all this stuff away. So let me turn off my clipping plane. All right, here's my section. All right. Oops, and I'm going to rotate it. And because I have my wonderful little reference box, I can just use that to snap this right into place. Right. And so now you can see if I turn off my layers there. And so here we go. Oops. Just going to move this over here. All right. These are my two drawings, and I'm going to get ready to move them into Illustrator. So before we do that, let me pause the video here, and then we'll come back. But before we do that, let me celebrate by saving.